Hi, you are welcome again. I am extremely happy to be on your screen right now. My name is Amara, like you already know. And today I've come again with my gist. Today I'm going to be talking about how, losing my dad felt different, but I'm going to be talking about what grief taught me the second time. Yeah. I lost my dad in January 2025, and even though it was one of the most painful experiences of my life, it was very different from losing my mom. When my mom passed away in 2019, her death came as a shock. My dad's death didn't really come as a shock that much. He had been battling with stroke for years, and we had the good days, we had the difficult days, we had the moments when we thought he was getting stronger, and moments when we knew that his body was getting tired. And by the time the illness came again the second time, his body simply could not recover. And as painful as it was, I think a part of me had already started grieving long before he passed away. And that's one thing that nobody really talks about. Sometimes grief begins before death happens. Sometimes you start grieving while the person is still alive because you're watching them slowly lose pieces of themselves, and that in itself is a different level of pain. You find yourself always hoping, praying, holding on, but also preparing your heart for a possibility that you do not want to face, hoping for the best, expecting the worst kind of thing. And one of the hardest things about losing my dad was realizing that I no longer had a parent. I was now an orphan. When my mom passed away, I still had my dad. I still had someone to fill in that parent position, someone who was still there. But after my dad passed, there was this strange feeling that I can only describe as being untethered. It's a feeling I would not wish on anyone. No matter how old you are, there is always something comforting about knowing that your parents are alive. And when both of them are gone, the world kind of feels different. Not necessarily worse, but just different. Another thing that hurt deeply was the feeling that I hadn't yet given back to him in a way that I really wanted to. And this is something that I've struggled to talk about. When my mom passed away, I felt like she left before she could fully enjoy the fruits of her labor. So when my dad passed, I felt the same thing. I hadn't had my big breakthrough yet. Like I hadn't reached some of the goals I had dreamed about, that I would have wanted him to see, I would have wanted him to enjoy. I would have wanted to be able to say, Daddy, thank you. This is for everything that you've done. But then life doesn't always give us what life doesn't always give us that opportunity. And if there is one thing grief has taught me again, it is this: love is not measured only by what you were able to give someone before they died. Love is measured by how you showed up while they were here. For a long time I carried that guilt about, but now I remind myself that my father knew I was a good daughter to him, and that's what matters. And one thing again that hurt was that he never really got to know his granddaughter as I would have wanted him to. She was about a year old when he passed, and because of distance and logistics, we kept postponing our visit till he passed, and that's a pain and guilt that I still carry around. I think about that sometimes. Most times I think about the memories that they never got to create, the conversations they never got to have. He would have been an amazing grandpa. Yeah, that kind of doting grandpa. Oh yes, those thoughts still hurt. And grief has also taught me that we cannot live in the world of what if, because there is no end to those questions. What if I had visited more? What if things happened differently? What if I had taken different decisions? What if he had recovered? What if? The truth is, none of us knows how much time we have, and eventually we have to make peace with that reality, even that with the reality that we are given. One thing I will always be grateful for is family. During that period, I was carrying a lot emotionally. I was exhausted. I did not have much strength left. But my family stepped up, my uncles stepped up, my cousins, my aunties, family and friends, they handled much of the burial planning and everything. Like, they carried that responsibility, they shouldered it. I simply did not have the capacity to carry any of such at the time. And if my family members are going to watch this video, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being family in every sense of it, for showing up, for helping us give my daddy a beautiful and dignified farewell. Thank you for reminding me that family can and is a blessing. The burial came and went, life continued, and that's another thing that grief has taught me. Life keeps moving. At first, it can feel unfair because your world has stopped, it has scattered, but then everyone else's has not. People are going to call, they'll check in, they'll visit, they'll make promises, and eventually they're going to return to their own lives. And it's not because they don't care, but because their own lives demand their attention too. So at first I kind of struggled with that, but now I understand it. Everybody is carrying something. They cannot drop their load and carry your own. So everyone is fighting battles that we cannot see. And grief again teaches you not to place your entire healing in the hands of other people. If not, you're not going to go anywhere. So yeah, support matters. Take all the support that you get, but then healing is a journey that you eventually have to walk on your own. You have to walk it yourself. Grief also reveals the people who actually stay, not just people who show up at funeral, but the people who continue to check in long after everyone else has moved on. The people who remember, the people who ask how you're doing months later. Those people are gifts. GIFTS, gifts. Another thing that I've come to believe is that burying a loved one sooner rather than later can help with the healing process. Not because you are moving on from them, but because it gives your mind the permission to start accepting the reality. That waiting season can be very exhausting, and the uncertainty can be really tiring. And sometimes closure starts with that saying goodbye. It starts with saying goodbye. That moment where I remember when I got to the mortuary the morning that we were to bury my dad, and my uncles took me in, and I looked down at the casket and I saw his body there. And I didn't cry. I did not cry. I just really looked, and I was like, so this is it. So this is it. And another thing no one prepares you for. That point where you now have to do use the shovel to pour sand into the grave. That's like that final goodbye. Nobody prepares you for that. Another thing that I think I must have mentioned this in the video about my late mom is that in all of that, I just know, I just knew, just like in the case of my mom, I knew that the body in the casket, because I was one of the ambulance for both burials. I was the one in the ambulance with the corpses. So when they'll be gallop on the road, and the body in the casket would move, and I was hearing the boom boom. I just knew that no, this person is not here again. This is just a body that is in that casket. My father, my mother, they are already with their maker. They are already with the Lord. They are already in their heavenly home. Because that was the only way I could stay sane. Just reminding myself, whatever is inside this casket is not my father. Whatever is inside this casket is not my mother. It is just the body returning to dust. Oh Lord. So do I still miss my dad? Absolutely. There are still moments when the loss hits me unexpectedly. There are still days when I still wish I could call him, because he was my highest caller. My dad could not stay 2 days without hearing from me. There are still things I wish you could see. But when I think about his life, I also feel gratitude. He lived quite a good life. Yeah, he fought hard. He fought the illness hard. He endured a lot physically. He loved his family. He raised 3 beautiful daughters. He built a home. Yeah, he left a legacy. At least he became a grandfather, even though he didn't spend a lot of time with the grandchild. And after years of health challenges, I find comfort in believing that he's finally at rest, not suffering, not struggling, not battling with high blood pressure, not battling with hypertension, not battling with stroke, not battling with one illness or the other. Like he can finally rest. His body has really gone through a lot. So now he's simply chilling with the Lord. And maybe that's the biggest lesson that grief has taught me. Death can end a life, but it does not end the love. I still love my dad. I still miss him, and I probably always will. But I no longer see grief as something I need to get over. I see it as love carrying on in a different form. So if you've lost someone recently, I want you to know this. Life will never be exactly the same, but then it does not mean that it cannot still be good. There will be laughter again, there will be joy again, there will be hope again. Better days are ahead, and one day you will realize that although the loss remains, we have learned how to carry it. Yes, that's the thing, because over time also I decided to disagree with this belief. When they say time heals, with time does not heal anything. You are still, even as old, like you are still going to always miss that person. You're not going to truly fully get over that person, because you still see memories, you still have triggers, you still have those what if moments, but then you just learn how to carry it. So thank you for listening to my story. Like a tip of the iceberg of my story. And if you have lost someone that you love, feel free to share that memory in the comments. I'd love to read it. Until next time, take care of yourself. And thank you for watching my video. Please leave me a nice comment in the comment section. It was not easy doing this video. Leave me a nice comment. Bye.